Have a nice day. The events of the film begin with a little girl named Andy, who is celebrating her 8th birthday and playing and running around with her friends. Then her mother gives her a cat as a present. Andy is very happy about it. And it seems that her mother loves her and takes care of her, and that she is trying to make up for the loss of her father, who died while she was pregnant with her. And after 2 years, Andy's mother dies, and her Uncle David takes over her upbringing so that she lives with them. And unfortunately, her uncle has ignored her presence ever since they arrived at the house. And despite the size of the house, her uncle's wife named Chris asks her to stay in the storage room and tells her that starting tomorrow, she will do all the housework herself. After a few years, Andy grows up and her cat remains her only friend in the house. Andy prepares breakfast, and her uncle's daughters, Jada and Caitlin, do not allow her to sit and eat with them. Then the girls go to school by car. And even though Andy studies at the same school, she's forced to walk there on foot. And when she arrives at school, Andy sees Bryant, who is considered the most handsome boy in school, walking with her sister Mackenzie. She also notices that Andy's cousins are trying to talk to him, while Andy remains a diligent and studious student who completes her activities. And during recess, the daughters of Andy's uncle go out to have lunch outside, while Andy eats in the school cafeteria. Then her only friend named Maxton comes to sit and eat with her. At the end of the school day, Andy walks home, while her uncle's daughters go home by car as they do every day. And the next day, while Andy is making breakfast, her uncle mocks her food and tells her she looks like her mother, speaking badly about her. And Andy gets upset and quickly packs her bag to go to school, but her cat follows her outside and runs toward the street. And at that moment, Bryant was driving his car. And unfortunately, the cat dies after being hit by Bryant's car. So Bryant is in shock and doesn't know what to do and keeps apologizing to Andy, while Andy's cousins remain indifferent to what happened. And after a few days, Andy sees Bryant at school and he wants to apologize to her by any means possible, but she avoids him and leaves with her friend Maxton. During gym class, Andy was running with Maxton, who talked to her about Bryant and how much he wanted to apologize to her, but she refused. Then she tripped and fell to the ground, and Bryant came to help her and asked why she was distancing herself from him and didn't want to accept his apologies. So Andy tells him that before her cat died because of him, he didn't even care enough to talk to her. And she says she won't accept his apologies or forgive him because her cat was the last gift her mother gave her before she passed away. Then we see Bryant at home with his father, Dr. Billy, and his brothers at dinner, and he is silent and upset. So his father asks him why he is sad, and Bryant tells him what happened with his classmate Andy and confirms that he is trying to apologize to her, but she refuses. And by chance, his father knows Andy's mother from the accident in which she died, and he advises him to try again to apologize to her in order to win her friendship. The next morning, Andy wakes up feeling sick with a severe headache and doesn't have the strength to get out of bed, while Chris keeps calling her to make them breakfast. Then Chris goes up to her room and yells at her, and when she is sure that Andy is really sick, she tells her that when she gets better, she will have to come downstairs and clean the whole house. At the same time, Bryant goes to see Maxton and asks him for news about Andy. And Maxton tells him that she's sick and didn't come to school today, and that he can't get in touch with her because she's still upset with him about his cat. But he doesn't give up and goes to her house to check on her. So Chris welcomes him and seems very kind to Andy in front of him, then leaves them to go greet her guests who have come for her. Bryant sits down with Andy, apologizes again, and asks him to be friends. And Andy replies that he wants her friendship out of pity for her, and that she won't accept that because she needs real friends. And Bryant tells her that he truly wants a sincere friendship between them. And he brings her some food and offers it to her as a reconciliation gift. And Andy is happy about it because she was hungry. Then he takes her, and they walk in the garden, and he tells her about his mother, and says that his father was present at the time of his mother's accident, and that she entrusted him with a message for Andy, in which she said that she loved her very much, and that no matter what happened, she would always be with her. So Andy tells him that a man had come to see her before the funeral and had told her those words, but she didn't know it was Bryant's father. The two of them go back home, and Bryant is surprised that Uncle Dandy and his wife let her live in the storage room, even though there are other bedrooms available. And one of them was prepared by Chris to host guests, and the second is the one where his cousins keep their toys. And when Dandy's cousins discover Bryant's presence, they go up to Andy's room, talk with him, and invite him to a party they're throwing the next day. But they ignore Andy as if she doesn't exist. So Bryant asks for permission and leaves, while Andy goes downstairs to tidy up the house and clean it after Chris's guests have left. And the house was a mess. So Chris asks her to prepare the food for his daughter's party the next day after she finishes cleaning. Andy prepares a variety of dishes for the party all by herself, while her cousin's friends arrive and lie, claiming they put in a lot of effort to make such wonderful food. So Andy gets upset and goes up to her room and starts cleaning her clothes. And at that moment, Bryant arrives and asks about Andy. But her cousin ignores her question and invites her to sit with them to watch a movie, while Andy goes down to sit alone in the garden. And she's surprised to find Bryant next to her, and he gives her his jacket to keep her warm and asks her why she isn't sitting with them. So Andy tells him that she's exhausted from the house chores. And Bryant discovers that she was the one who prepared all the food for her cousins and their friends. And despite that, they didn't let her sit with them and didn't invite her to their party. Bryant tells Andy that her story really sounds like Cinderella's. So Andy replies that she prefers the name Andy. Then Bryant invites her to have dinner with him at a restaurant and tells her about his mother, saying that she died 10 years ago in an accident, just like her mother. And they keep talking and grow even closer. Then Andy tells him that her cousins are attracted to him, and Bryant tells her that he doesn't like them and that he wants to be her friend. Then he walks her home and tries to set up another date to go out with her so they can get to know each other better. And it seems that he is very attracted to her. But Andy asks him to give her some time to get to know him better, on the condition that their friendship remains secret because of her Uncle David and his wife Chris. The next day, Bryant and Andy exchange messages all day at school, and Andy feels happy and experiences a new and wonderful feeling. Maxton sees her smiling and asks her during recess why she is so happy. So, Andy tells him about Bryant and that he's attracted to her, and Maxton is shocked and tells her that he's been her friend for a long time and that he considers her his girlfriend and that they're together. And Andy is surprised by his words and tells him that he never confessed his feelings to her before, and he asks her to be his girlfriend, but Andy asks him to give her some time to think it over while Maxton invites her to go out with him. And Andy agrees. Then we see her cleaning the garden and Bryant comes to see her. She tells him about Maxton and says that she talked to him about their relationship, but that he surprised her by confessing his love and asking her out. So she accepted, so as not to hurt his feelings. Bryant asks Andy to give Maxton a chance just like she gave him one, and then to decide for herself who she really loves in the end. And Andy goes out with Maxton, and he talks, and she tells him that he is her only friend, and that's how she sees him. And Maxton asks her how she didn't notice that he spends most of his time with her, and that he leaves his friends for her. And Andy asks him to give her more time to think, while Maxton invites her to a soccer game he's playing in. Then Bryant calls her while she's in her room to check on how her meeting with Maxton went. And Andy tells him that she needs time to decide what will happen with their relationship, especially since Maxton gave him a lot of advice on how to always stay close to her. Bryant goes downstairs to talk to his father about Andy and tells him about the bad way his uncle and his wife treat her and that he wants to help but doesn't know how. And his father advises him by saying that if he needs his help, he should tell him right away because he is a psychologist and a specialist. And after the end of the school day, Bryant takes Andy and they go for a walk together, go to an amusement park and talk together, and his cousins see them. Then Bryant quickly brings her back home so that Chris doesn't cause any trouble. And when Andy enters the house, Chris warns her about her relationship with Bryant and explains to her that he pities her because of the death of her cat and that his daughter is attracted to him. Then Andy goes to Maxton's game, skips school, admires his play, feels happy and cheers him on. But during the game, he twists his ankle and leaves the match. So Andy goes to him after the end of the game and helps him walk. But Chris's neighbor sees them and calls him, telling him that Andy skipped school. When he gets home, he yells at Andy and asks her where she was, and Andy tells them she attended Maxton's game. Then he and her uncle harass her with their words, and they attack her mother's education. So Andy gets angry and stands up for herself, showing them how badly they treat her, and that if she worked for them, they would treat her better. And despite all this, she puts up with them, but she will no longer allow them to insult her mother. Then her uncle threatens to kick her out, so Andy goes up to her room and decides to leave. She breaks down in tears and calls Maxton for help, but finds him at the doctor's getting his leg treated and busy, and he doesn't understand that she is putting his needs before her own. And when Andy calls Bryant, he comes immediately, and Andy secretly lets him into her room and tells him what happened. Bryant calls his father to consult him, and he tells Andy that she shouldn't stay at her uncle's house and that she can live with them. But she's afraid of how her uncle and his wife will react, and in the end, she leaves with him and meets Dr. Billy, who welcomes her, tells her to make herself at home, and asks her to answer a few questions to find out how he can help her. And after she tells him everything, Bryant takes her to her room so she can rest, and he assures her that he will stay by her side. So Andy thanks him for his support and help. The next day, Andy wakes up and finds her photo with her mother next to her, and she feels happy. And when she goes downstairs, Bryant introduces her to his sisters, who welcome her. Then he makes her breakfast, and Andy is delighted by their affection, happily having breakfast with them. An employee and specialist from the Child Protection Office arrives and tells them that Andy's uncle is requesting her return under his guardianship. So, Dr. Billy objects to this, but he cannot break the law. So Andy gets scared and runs out of the house barefoot, and Bryant follows her and finds her sitting under a tree, crying because she's afraid to go back to her uncle's house. But Bryant reassures her and tells her that she doesn't have to go back there because the interview set by the Child Protection Commission can take place wherever she feels comfortable and safe, and that her father refused to have the interview at her uncle's house. Then he takes her and they go back home. And when she sees him, her sisters run to her and hug her, while Dr. Billy informs them that the interview will take place at the office of the Child Welfare Agency. And he suggests to Andy that she live with them and be part of their family. And Andy accepts without hesitation. On the day of the interview, we see Andy's uncle and his wife feigning emotion in front of the committee, and when Andy leaves the specialist's office, Chris sheds tears and pretends to be sad. Then Andy returns home, and everyone treats her like a member of the family. And she's happy to be among them, while Maxton sends a message to check in on her. And Andy tells him that she left her uncle's house and is now living with Bryant and his family. She also tells him that she needed his help, but he abandoned her. Then he apologizes to her, and Andy accepts his apology. And she tells him that Bryant's father is handling her case, and for that reason, she won't be able to go to school for the time being. And Maxton asks her to let him visit her after school so they can talk, and Andy agrees to that. The next morning, Dr. Billy informs Andy that her mother had set up an insurance policy in her name worth $300,000, and that her uncle took control of it to spend on her as her guardian. And Andy is shocked and tells him that her uncle never bought her anything or gave her any pocket money. And Billy tells her that all of this will help them in the case and promises to restore her rights to her. Then Andy sits down with Bryant and tells him that she doesn't understand why her uncle deprived her of her rights and always made her feel like she was a burden to them. And Bryant tries to cheer her up and suggests that she go with him to the prom. And Andy happily accepts because she didn't expect him to choose her to go with him. Shortly after, Maxton arrives and sits in front of the house and apologizes to her because he wasn't there for her like Bryant was. Maxton tells Andy that Bryant is a good person and that he deserves her more than he does. So Andy replies that he is her friend and that nothing will ever affect their relationship, and that they will remain friends forever, even on the day of the court hearing. Chris prepares his statements to win the case, while Dr. Billy recounts everything that happened with Andy, and the court sympathizes with her. Her uncle's guardianship is lifted, and her money is returned to her. And she is also awarded compensation for the psychological harm caused by her uncle and his wife. And when Andy turns 18, she buys a car and a beautiful dress for the prom. And she starts dating Bryant, who surprises her with a cat as a gift to replace the one that died. And Andy is very happy about it. Meanwhile, Billy takes a group family photo as a keepsake. And finally, Andy lives safely with a family that loves her. And she is happy with them.